1st, 2025. Time is 7 p.m. Liam, would you please call the roll? Well, sorry, let's do the sorry, skip the Tom, Paul?
Yep. Let us pray. Grace of God, please help us to pause for a moment to say thank you. Thank you for the way that you work in each of our lives, for the times we recognize you at work and the times that go by quickly without us realizing you are at work. Thank you for the people in this room, for the council members and the administration and the support staff, all the hard work that they do to benefit and improve our community. Thank you for the first responders and our maintenance and utility crews who work tirelessly to take care of us, keep us safe each and every day. Thank you, God, for the members of our community who come to share their ideas and their wisdom in an effort to make our community even stronger. And now, God, we ask that you be with us tonight. Help us to feel your presence and hear your voice as we discern how to make a better tomorrow for all of the residents and businesses in our community. Help us to do our part, to cooperate, to communicate, and to collaborate with each other for the benefit of North Canton. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Lee, would you please call the roll?
Member Wyatt?
Here.
Member Owens? Member Cleister? Here. Member Stroya?
Here.
Member Warren?
Here.
Member Matheny?
Here.
Member Orr?
Here.
6 present.
Motion to excuse Member Owens.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. All right. So, Jim and Gina, you're going to share some details about debt policies.
Certainly.
Sounds exciting.
It is. It is very. In September of 24, we weren't necessarily notified until December, but S&P changed their rating criteria. And they do that in the markets. Moody's has also changed their rated criteria, and you're usually rated by one of the two agencies. And that's for your debt that you issue. So our 2016 debt was the one that was credit rated. And they did a review on that and applied their new rating criteria to our debt and our debt policies and our debt portfolio, how we manage debt, how we issue debt, all of those things. They downgraded the city from an AA to an AA minus. That is still a very stable debt rating. But there are some things that we can do before the next 2-year review to bring that rating back up under their new criteria. And 3 of those things is a formal CIP plan, which as you know now, Ben has already initiated that. It's well on its way. We all received training on the software today. So we should have a 10-year capital improvement plan, a formalized debt policies, which is what is in your packet for tonight. And then they also like to see, based on comps, other cities that are comparable to ours based on assessed valuation and population, an increase in your carryover for general fund. So we'll talk more about that one when we get into the budgeting season. That's not for tonight. But if you want, I can hit a few of these and just kind of explain. We separated them. We worked with a municipal advisor. We also looked at, as I told you, some other comparable cities, and then we looked at best practices with GFOA, which Government Finance Officers Association nationwide. And we pulled all those things together into 2 separate sorts of policies. One are debt issuance policies, and one are debt management policies. So some of the things, and I'll just highlight a few of them. We want to say in the very beginning that we're going to rely on operating cash flows and not go into debt to pay our daily bills. All right, so that's first and foremost, very obvious, I know, but it is something that you really kind of do need to have as a priority. Balancing your reserving long-term debt for capital improvements for only those items that have a useful life of 10 years or 5 years, or nothing that's going to be consumed, like a consumable inventory item. To promote economic development, which we've done over the past 3 or 4 or 5 years, We can utilize our debt capacity to encourage growth in the city, and then that helps to sustain or improve our general operating when we bring in income tax and more businesses. Use of outside funding sources. So as you know, Mr. Graham, our engineer, is always going out for grants and 0% loans or any kind of other funding that we can get, but that's always first and foremost. We check local, state, and federal, either low-cost loans or grants before we issue debt. Parameters for note issues, again, that just really depends on the interest rate in the market at the time. We did in the last rounds of economic development, we were issuing 1 year, they call them bands, bond anticipation notes. So they're just short term, but because the interest rate is so low, you can, roll that money until you're looking for a long-term solution. We talk about doing requests for proposals or RFPs, which we've now incorporated into all of our contracts in the city. But we'll be doing the same thing for our bond underwriter. Should we pass the income tax issue and move forward with the fire station facility, we'll be doing an RFP for the underwriter so that we make sure that we get the best quote available for our bonds on the market. And that is also consistent with all of our city procurement policy now. We will not use variable rate debt. That is not something that we're going to be interested in. It's just not as stable. We will not exceed the useful life of the assets. The debt obviously will not, it's just like your mortgage. You have a 30-year mortgage, And then credit enhancement, so that's another option when you're issuing debt. You can buy insurance. And insurance just says, I may have not a very good debt rating, but I'm gonna buy insurance so that my investors know they're going to get paid. So we will always calculate what the difference of the cost of that debt insurance or credit enhancement insurance would be versus what we can already get because our rating is pretty good. But we'll still, it's in a policy, we'll still always look at it. We will not look at derivatives, so that's just the last one on the issuance. And then debt management policy, I feel like these are pretty important every year while we're doing our budget. So one of the ones we want to talk about, the very first one, we are committed 30% of the first 1% of our income tax money is committed for capital projects every year. So it's right in the, I believe whenever the income tax rate was increased from up to 1.5, that was one of the stipulations when that was passed. So 30% of the first 1%, after we pay RETA fees, are, right now I think it's 2.1 million, was this year's 2.125 million, is how that calculated out. So that's a good portion of our operating budget that's dedicated to capital. The CIP plan we already talked about, the credit rating we already talked about. The bonded note retirement just says that we're going to pay all our debt when it's due. We're not going to let anything go past its maturity date. And then we have debt limitations in place. I think these are important. There's a lot of calculations I don't really want to get into, and you can see how we calculate all those things. But it's just saying we're going to reserve at a minimum 1 mil. So we have limitations, 5.5% of our assessed valuation can be unvoted debt. We're well below that right now. But then overlapping debt, so let's say the county or the county parks or the school district or anything that's an overlapping debt issuance. Does that make sense? So the school could have bonds, which you as a resident would pay, and then the city could have bonds. So we're saying the state says you cannot exceed 10.5% of your assessed value. So one person living somewhere cannot have all this debt coming out of their pocket. We're saying even within our 5.5%, we're going to reserve 1 mil for emergencies. You just never know, something like that would happen. So that's just another one we put in here. Investment of bond proceeds, we're going to follow our investment policy, which I think you've already approved a few years ago. Debt service reserve fund, so if we do have a voted debt bond issue, it's going to have its own fund so that the funds are not commingled and cannot be used for anything other than, just like all we have the special revenue funds. And external reporting, so we do have to follow the SEC and all the other guidelines, and so we do file an annual information system report and an EMA report. If you're familiar with debt reports, they all have their own letters that mean things in their world. But we do file all those every year. We comply with the state auditor's office. And really the second and third page just explains all of those things. So at the very end, we do say this is an administrative policy, but the formalization to get it established really requires a vote of council to say, yes, we're on board with this. We believe that this is important. And then if we need to make changes or amendments along the way, maybe further in the future, it can be done on the administrative side. It doesn't have to come back to council, but that way we have these in place for now.
Makes sense, thank you. Anyone want to comment on that? Okay. I'll make the motion to approve as presented minutes from the March 3rd, 2025 Committee of the Whole, the minutes from the March 10th public hearing and City Council, the city's debt policy, the 2024 firefighter dump plow truck, and
Freightliner.
Freightliner, that's not that, yeah, sorry. And corresponding equipment contract award, and the City Hall HVAC and Police Department renovation project architect contract award. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So no one signed up for the first portion of public speaks. Oh, no, we're going to the second, yeah, sorry. Okay, at this time, council invites Stark County Director of Environmental Health, Paul DePasquale, to speak to the health department's current initiatives. Did I pronounce that correctly?
DePasquale is good.
All right, close.
You did really well.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of council. Thank you for letting the health department come. As you said, my name is Paul DePasquale with the Stark County Health Department. I've been there for over 32 years. Kirk Norris, the health commissioner, was going to be here tonight, but he's ill. He apologizes. He would have been here. So I just dropped that note to you that he is ill. We value our relationship with our political subdivisions in the health district. That's why we show up at least once a year. Somebody from my staff will show up. We want to make sure that you know we're here and that we're out here working in your communities every day. I'm going to give you a short report and then I'll open it up to any questions you might have. A couple of highlights. There are 3 service areas in the health department, and then the health commissioner is over that. There's environmental health, that's my service area. There's nursing, and then there's administration and support services. I'll give you 3 highlights from those. Nursing implemented infection control programs and long-term care centers within the health district to protect and support our aging community members in these facilities this past year in 2024. Administration created a grant support specialist position to help research and obtain funding to support different health initiatives in the district. And then in my area, we developed a water well GIS app with County GIS. We know now where all the water wells are in Stark County for emergency, education, and protection purposes. It's fantastic. We're going to get rolling that out more and showing the different communities what we can do. We did show EMA what we can do in case we had a spill of some sort. We can bring this stuff up in minutes. We can be operational within hours. So it's fantastic. County GIS, if you work with them, we work with them quite a bit. If you've ever worked with them, they're fantastic. And since I'm here, I'll give you a little environmental health report. Can't give you nursing, can't give you administration, but I will give you environmental health. I got a few numbers for you. My staff did 7,945 inspections last year. Food inspections, we did 2,652. We did 1,440 out-of-office consultations around the county. I like to average all this up and give you a per business day. We're out in the community doing inspections and consultations per business day. The number's 38. I think that's good work. And then Environmental Health Services investigated and followed up on 595 animal bites or exposures with rabies prevention program. A lot of people don't know we do that. They just think the dog catcher's out there. We're out there investigating and following up who the animals that they're vaccinated, that the victim is protected, and it's really all about the victim. And we follow up on that, and if we can't verify, we quarantine the animal for 10 days. We also send specimens down to the Ohio Department of Health laboratory constantly, every week. Something's going down. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions you may have.
Paul, how many people do you have? How many are under your purview?
In environmental health, I have now 24.
Okay, and then what's the total?
Total in the health department is 80, but the full-time is 72, and the rest are part-time. I do have some summer help, I should probably add those on.
Yeah.
So we typically hire about 3 college students per year for the mosquito control program, and we do a lot of surveillance in that area. So when you see like West Nile virus, usually those college students are out trapping those, then we take those specimens and we send them down to Columbus to the same laboratory that we send the rabies. So we're constantly monitoring that, and West Nile was a huge issue last year. I don't know how it'll be this year. It tends to peaks and valleys in that situation.
So the measles.
Yeah, well, now we're getting into nursing, but that's okay, I'll try my best. We do have
What are your
some,
thoughts?
yeah, we do have some information on our website, but what was your, did you have a specific
No.
question?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just, so if anybody, but they would go through you, like, I'm assuming that, you know, it comes up on the nightly news and all the states that have
Yes.
had some sort of measles outbreak, they would go directly to you, you guys would report then, and then,
Okay, so kind of how it happens behind the scenes is a primary care physician, ER, lab, any positive test, they know where that individual is, it goes to our communicable disease surveillance group, which is 2 nurses and an epidemiologist.
okay.
And they are just down the hall from me, and they monitor everything from, you name it, it's in our annual report, you see all the different
Yeah.
infectious diseases in our annual report, they monitor that constantly. And so that system was put in place shortly after 9/11 for intentional attacks. There was not an epidemiologist at every health department back then, but afterwards, that's what they put in place. So every health district has an epidemiologist now since 9/11.
I think it's also important just to note that also where the Stark County Health Department is with our dogwood pool. They provide inspections of our dogwood public municipal pool as well as issue license for that.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Are you guys off of Whipple still?
Yeah, we're north now of Portage,
Yes, okay,
in Park Center. We used to be on Convenience Circle,
yes,
so we moved in 2019.
okay.
Paul, on the inspections and things that occur in the city, what's the cooperation level on, you know, once you make contact with someone and you start a process? They've been favorable to work and correct anything that you point out to them?
Yeah, it depends, like if it's a business that we have licenses at, like it's like a food business, we go through plan review and we work with your building department. We have some interaction with your building department. We're now backing up the plumbing inspectors with my plumbing inspectors in the county. So there's some interaction that we're doing with North Canton City. But we're in your city probably every day. You just don't know it. You may not know it. We're not in uniforms. We're not in marked cars. But we're probably either doing a nuisance, we're doing a business inspection. We could be doing, believe it or not, we have a few septics in the city still. We have water wells. So we handle all those programs for you. There's 13 different state programs that we do in my area. And we get surveyed by the state agencies. So we do all programs from Ohio Environmental Protection Agency, Ohio Department of Health, Ohio Department of Agriculture, and Department of Commerce is the plumbing.
Just thank you for being backup for the plumbing for us.
And if we run into, you know, I call your mayor on his cell phone. So if I have an issue, I pick up the phone and, hey, here's an issue, we should probably take a look at it. And if he can't do it, and he says, well, this person you need to go see, it's not a problem.
I think when I've called you, your responsiveness is always so thorough. I had Lyme disease a couple of years ago, and immediately they called and wanted to follow up, and I swear I got like 3 calls. And then there was a restaurant thing, and they called to say like, they've been out, tell me how, what happened, and like, did you look at this, you know, and it was nice to know that you really did follow up. That was great.
And I appreciate that, and that's good to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not perfect, but we do try to do our best, and we do try to get out.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was told by a township meeting, I'm the only county agency that they came out to their meeting. I was just kind of shocked about that. But we do try to get out, we do try to get people to know that we're out here, we appreciate the interaction, we wanna know you, we wanna hear the feedback. And that's great, good or bad, we wanna hear the feedback, we can only get better if we hear both, so.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It's impressive, all the different things that your department does, it's very impressive, and your reporting is phenomenal, the reports that you put out, so thank you for
I
everything.
appreciate that. And I'll pass the word on to the rest of my folks there at the health department, and I will definitely update the health commissioner when he's better. I'm not getting anywhere near him. I don't wanna, I'll give you a guide, and then I will, I don't have any more questions. This is just a staff directory.
That's what I thought. Okay, thank you, Paul. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did I answer all your questions?
Paul, who was before the current administrator right now? Is it Jim? Or am I thinking the city health department?
That's City.
Yeah, that's city.
Okay,
Bill Franks was the health commissioner prior to Kirk.
okay.
Kirk's been there since 2012.
Oh, wow, yeah.
It's been in
Lot of
place.
experience.
He's been there just as long as I have. So he just came up through the ranks.
Yes.
Have a good
Thanks, Paul.
evening. Thank
Thank you.
Y'all have a good evening.
You
too.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Thank you.
All right, so we don't have anybody for the first public speaks. All right, Lee, would you please read for the title, title of ordinance 1/2025?
An ordinance amending the zoning map of the city of North Canton to reclassify one parcel in the city of North Canton in accordance with the amendment procedure set forth in chapter 1182 of the Planning and Zoning Code from its existing classification to Main Street North.
All right, this is community and economic development. This is the 1100 block of North Main. You can see it on the map here. The proposal is to change it to Main Street North. This is the second reading. There's nothing new that I'm aware of. Any comments, questions? I'm gonna make a motion to adopt the second reading of 1/2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Lee, would you please read the title of ordinance 2/2025?
An ordinance amending the zoning map of the city of North Canton to reclassify one parcel in the city of North Canton in accordance with the amendment procedure set forth in chapter 1182 of the Planning and Zoning Code from its existing classification to general business B.
All right, this is that narrow strip of land behind Ellsworth. And the proposal is to, again, change this to general business B. This has been discussed for a while, it was in planning and then brought to us for the first reading, now we're on the second. Nothing new that I know of, very standard, and Ellsworth is a great business, so. Any comments, questions? I'm gonna make a motion to adopt the second reading of 2/2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Liam, would you please read the title of resolution 24/2025?
A resolution declaring City Council support of State Issue 2 concerning the renewal of the State Capital Improvement Program on the May 6, 2025 statewide ballot.
All right.
Just a little bit of additional information with this. On March 19th, we were down in Columbus attending the Ohio Municipal League's lobbying day. We had a chance to meet with Representative Olslager, who originally sponsored the State Capital Improvement Program. He was glad to hear that we have benefited so much from it from the past couple years, and that we will continue to do so if this is renewed. And I did let him know that we would get him a copy of this resolution once it's passed. And he was pretty eager to get that just so he could share that with the rest of the State House.
Perfect. Excellent. So, I'll make a motion to adopt the second reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And Liam, would you please read the title of resolution 25/2025?
A resolution in support of city administration's decision to prohibit parking on Orchard Avenue Northeast and Charlotte Street Northeast in front of the Diebold Next Door facility.
That's primarily John.
All right, we heard from the people from Diebold, it is a safety issue, and nothing new has been added to this. We had the second part of it, so I make a motion, we, pass this. I'll make a motion, we, pass the, second reading of this.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, Liam, would you please read the preamble for the public speaks?
At this time, members of the public who have signed up to address City Council will be called to do so. Each speaker will be given 5 minutes. Speakers shall be called in the order they signed up. During this section, comments shall be limited to items reasonably under the city's authority. The rules for speaking and speaker's time will appear on the screens. After you have finished speaking, please remain at the podium to answer questions from the officials of the dais. This will serve as the final warning for all speakers. Any violation of the rules will result in ejection from the premises.
Okay, so we have one speaker, and it is Pat Patterson.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Pat Patterson, 1754th Street, Cuyahoga Falls. Proud North Cantonian for life, however. Well, I'm talking about two things. Number one, Sunday coming up, which is the 6th, 8 a.m. behind the YMCA, we're having a community walk. No agendas, no BS. Come up, meet your neighbors, hang out. It'll be a good time, so. Not sure about the weather, but it's gonna do what it's gonna do, but we'll be there. So, yeah, everybody's invited, everybody home is invited if they wanna come out. Hoping for a good turnout, and I'm hoping this is something we can do, you know, maybe 3-4 times a year. Just get people together, that's the big thing. Second thing I wanna point out, you know, there's been a lot of talk about transparency in some circles, the lack thereof. And we were talking about it before, and here in the last several months, it seems like there has been a dramatic improvement, not necessarily just in transparency, but in communication. And I believe that change went hand in hand with one person, and it's Catherine. You know, you joined up. There's a lot more communication now with folks in the community, whether they want to admit it or not. But I do notice, and if I had a cap on, I'd give it to you. You and Ben are doing a fantastic job, I believe, as all they are. So, just wanted to tip my hat, and I'm ready to be grilled.
Have you had anybody respond, saying they're coming? On Sunday?
Amanda, you're right's coming. We've had,
Like 12 people, at least.
there's a handful, there's a couple of my old running friends are coming down from up north.
Oh, wow.
The sheriff actually, responded,
Mr. Wiseman?
yeah. Sheriff Weisburn's, showed some interest, there's a couple of others, so, yeah, there's a couple others that have given, you know, said, yeah, we're going.
Good, well, thank you for doing it. I'm out of town, but.
Yeah,
I've
well,
been
there'll be other
how it goes.
opportunities. This is something we started New Year's Eve of 2023, we did it again at the end of the year, last year. It's something I'd like to do, like I said, 3 or 4 times a year. It's an opportunity, like I said, no agendas, no BS, no anything, just bringing the community, bringing people, members of the community together, taking a walk, maybe learn something along the way.
Pat, is this rain or shine?
Rain or shine.
Because it's a 91% chance of rain.
Yes.
Okay, it's Ohio, what are you gonna do? Wear a raincoat.
It's full steam ahead.
What time does that start again?
8 a.m., 7 Central. That'd be 5 Mountain Time, or Pacific Time.
Do you have a map? Is there an area you're covering?
I think we're gonna play it by ear because the Heritage Society is gonna be participating, and they have some things up their sleeves, and I'm kinda waiting to see what they've got going.
Yeah.
I do have a course that if all else fails, we could follow, but,
Well, if it rains, maybe you go into the Y, you know, and the Heritage Society can share.
Yeah.
But
we'll follow Jamie's suggestion, walk down East Maple.
in the rain.
In the rain.
Well, if you have an umbrella.
But, no, it's gonna be a good time, like I said, you know, three of my cornerstone former running partners are coming down. And, it's gonna be a good thing, and there might be some treats.
Okay.
Thank you, appreciate it, I'm glad you organized it. It's-
Yeah.
Looking forward to
But
it.
yeah, more to come, like I said, in the future, you know, June, July, we'll maybe do another one, in the fall, and we'll go from there.
Cool, thank you,
Thank you for the opportunity.
I like your shirt,
Thanks.
I graduated. All right, let's go with department reports here, Mayor Water.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for letting me buy some time tonight. We've been away for a couple weeks, but I do have a couple of things I always like to share. First of all, again, thanks for Paul D. Pasquale regarding the health department's initiatives and activities countywide and what they do here for the city. And it's good that they are willing to come out at least once a year to touch base with us. Pastor Tom Cole from Faith United Methodist Church, thank you again for Pastor Tom delivering our opening prayer. And Pat, can always count on you for something, so thank you very much. And we'll see what happens. But you know, I like important holidays, military holidays and observances. Just wanted to go back in time just a little bit, so bear with me for our military families and some of our veterans in our community. But March 25th, 2025, that was a Medal of Honor Day. And again, that was a holiday to honor the heroism and sacrifice of Medal of Honor recipients for the United States. To date, there have been 3,473 Medals of Honor awarded. And today there are 103 living recipients of the Medal of Honor. And only 7 Medals of Honor have been awarded since the Vietnam War. All of them posthumously, 2 for service in Somalia, 1 in Afghanistan, and 4 in Iraq. On Saturday, March the 29th, was Vietnam Veterans Day. And again, that was a national holiday to observe or recognize our honored veterans who served in the military during the Vietnam War. And that time period covered from November 1, 1955 to May 15, 1975. And coming up on this Saturday, April the 5th, is the Gold Star Spouses Day. And I know we have some spouses in our community that are Gold Star spouses. And that's a day dedicated to those spouses whose spouses gave their lives while serving in the U.S. military, or as a result of service-connected injuries or illness. Moving on, I want to thank Jennifer Cross, one of our administrative specialists, and Liam Ott, our Clerk of Council, for representing the city at a couple functions in our community. One, they spoke at the North Canton Lions Club, and also they participated at the North Canton Library Senior event and leading a discussion on issue 4, our income tax proposal and how it aims to reduce property tax burden and support our fire and EMS program, and of course the consolidation of that into one facility, and to continue our street paving program. And Thursday, April the 10th, I know Jennifer is, but I think you are accompanying her. They're going to represent the city at our North Canton Rotary Club meeting on Thursday, and that's going to be April the 10th. And they'll be presenting there to answer questions and have discussion on issue 4. And I also want to thank council for our members for hosting coffees with council throughout our city and talking about issue 4. And again, answering questions for our citizens' concerns and making, as you say, inform our community as much as we can in communicating the importance of issue 4. As for myself, on last Wednesday, March the 26th, I had the opportunity to attend the 54th Business Club Scholarship Luncheon at Walsh University. And you have to go back and think that the university's on its 62nd year. And the business club was the very first club that was formed at Walsh University. And that's through the DeVille School of Business at the Barrett Center, Business Community Center. We had over about 200 guests, about 100 students were there, and over $15,000 in scholarships were awarded to Walsh students in the College of Business. So that was pretty cool. On Friday, March the 21st, I attended the North Canton City Schools Education Enhancement Fund recognition. That program was at Hoover Hall at Hoover High School. And a person that we all know, Dr. Bob Roden, an icon in our community, received a very special award from the Enhancement Fund for over 60 years in education and leadership in our community and actually within Stark County. So it was very thrilling to see Bob receive that special recognition, as he is not going to continue on as a school board member, which he's happy to do. He's getting up in age there a little bit. Wednesday, March the 26th, I attended the annual crime prevention breakfast. And I'll defer to Dave Matheny, council member Matheny, to bring us up to date a little bit on a special officer that we had that received an award there. And I'll leave you with that, okay? Okay, that's yours. But it was a pleasure to be there and help. Our city administration was there, and several of our officers were there to support this fine officer that we have here working in the city of North Canton. Just a tidbit of useless information, or maybe useful. I think it's very important that this was just recently released. Our North Canton-based Diebold Nixdorf surpassed 200,000 shipments of their DN series ATM in early February. And that speaks highly of what's happening right now with the development, and they're coming back to North Canton to make it the North American World Headquarters. And that was quite a milestone for the Diebold Nixdorf. And they're also receiving several accolades in their European market, which I won't get into any detail on that. And right here, again, in our city, Danbury Sanctuary Grant, a Story Point Group assisted living community in North Canton received a Place for Mom 2025 Best of Senior Living Award. And this was a nationwide recognition that's based on reviews from residents and families. So again, something else that speaks highly favorable for our community and taking care of our senior living. I thought that was very exceptional to read that. And last but not least, okay, I had the honor Saturday on the 29th, I had the pleasure and honor to throw out the first pitch at the North Canton Hoover High School baseball game against Medina Highland. Coach Brian Ashby had called me up and asked me if I'd like to do that, and I said absolutely. So it was a pleasure to be down with the team and the staff and be introduced in front of the audience there and have the opportunity to throw out the first pitch. And yes, it was a strike, okay? And I think you can see the video on Instagram if I'm correct. So I'm working on a trifecta. I've had the pleasure, I'll be doing the opening day pitch for our North Canton Little League. That's in April. And I'm gonna try to hit up Walsh University baseball team. I'd like to have the opportunity, if I could, throw a pitch out there at the high school or at the college level. So that's that. But most important also, I wanna thank Gina and Jim did Ben help out a little bit on this, on the debt policies? Or is that mostly your two?
Yeah.
Okay, you two get the honors. Thanks again for pulling this together, because again, I just think it's another positive move for our city as we are, again, we're very transparent. We have policies in place for us to manage our money in the best way that we can. And yes, I'm all about retiring our debt as we move along. But cities are gonna have debts, but it's good to have the policy in place. I can't thank that team of Gina and Jim for pulling this together for us, and I appreciate council, going ahead and voting and putting this in place for us. So, and with that, I think I've used up my minutes, so thank you very much.
They were good minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Did you warm up before you threw that pitch, the opening day pitch?
What's that now?
Did you warm up before you threw that?
No, I was cold. No, it was a nice day, but I went out. I was cold. And no Tommy John or anything. I didn't have to put it in any heat or anything afterwards. But you know what? It was great to be down there with the young fellas and the visiting team and the parents that were there to support them. I thank them all for being there to support this event. So thank you very much.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you. Catherine.
Thank you. So Mayor was gonna share this, but then he sent it over to me, very proud to announce that, we did have a little, update on 101 East Maple Street, otherwise known as the Uber West Factory. We did receive, the first, payment on their correction active plan, which stated that they needed to register the property as a vacant registry. So we received, the first installment of that. The total amount is, $76,393.50, so we got the first half. The second half is due by June 1st, or, an execution of a separate, extension of the TIF. So then also, I think Liam has a picture to put up, them registering this as a vacant property now and paying their first installment of their vacant property registration fee, then activates the corrective action plan we put in place. We did say by April 15th, the owner must, and there's many things, and one of them was install a fence along Whitworth Street, you see there, to stop trespassing. There's also cleaning up of the trash and debris outside the building, which we have noticed. They're to board up all the windows, seal off access points, fix loose bricks and siding on the northeast corner of Building 6, repair damaged siding on the south wall facing East Maple, post no trespassing signs, a lot of safety stuff, flag unsafe areas. These were some of the items you've all received the correction action plan you've seen. So it's a good step, in the direction of compliance. That was one of the main things. We said, we're gonna hold them as accountable as we hold anybody else. It's property, and it's a lot of property that sits right in the square of our town. So, they had till April 3rd. That was the deadline, and they got it in today on March 31st.
Well, this is fantastic to see that they've paid money towards their deficiencies, their zoning violations, well, the vacant building registration, but also seeing that work has started there. So I just have to say it, I guess it is hammer time. We're getting work done over there, so.
Hammer time. So we've seen a little bit here, through the first quarter 2 also does hold them responsible for some of the windows and some of the things that we talked about. So that's exciting. The other thing I wanted to report on is that phase 1 of the well drilling at Arrowhead is complete. So, they've gone down, it was 512 feet, it was a 512, is that what Tad said, and hit shale. So now, Ohio Drilling's pulling out, so they have to then size everything, and phase 2 will be, actually running the raw water line. So they can start to, demobilize some of the equipment up there, and, got that progress underway. That's a big project we've been working on. The last thing I was just gonna mention was our Civic Leadership Academy. We posted that out there, and, we said, don't just live in North Canton, lead in North Canton, and see if anyone's excited. If we get one person or 2 people or 10 people, and we did get 6, and that's what we wanted. It's our first one, our maiden voyage on this, so we don't know what to expect. So we got 6, and that'll run from 6 months from May to October. And so we're excited for that to get started in May. That's all I have.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gina or Jim or both?
Yeah, so speaking of Leadership Academy, last week I had the opportunity to attend the GFOA, which is Government Fiscal Officers Association Leadership Award Academy. So there's 40 mostly cities throughout the United States, and I was one of 40. There was over 80 people that wanted to go, and I was able to, they approved me to go, and it was just a great opportunity to learn first off about leadership, but know that we're in such I really set a good example for how we are here at City of Canton, to hear the stories of all these other finance directors, and it gave me a real sense of appreciation for what we have here. So that, I want to thank you guys for your focus on, training our employees and how far that can go for us, so.
And Jim, where was that one held?
That was in Phoenix.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so it was at Arizona State University, actually,
Nice.
so.
Was there anything that you felt that we're doing really differently versus others where you're just other people said to you, we're gonna do that, we're gonna follow your lead?
Well, I felt like we were a lot more, this is crazy to say, but I felt like we were a lot more efficient than a lot of other cities. Now granted, there were a ton of huge cities,
Right.
and they have a ton of, they get a lot of politics getting in the way in those cities, so that's probably a big part of that, but I felt like we are extremely efficient compared to other places, getting things done. That was big takeaway for me.
That's very nice.
Nice.
That matters.
Does.
Well, you've got Gina as your partner,
Yeah, I'm lucky.
so she's not gonna not be efficient.
You know me so well.
Yes, yes.
Speaking of efficiency, how many days do we have left to file our income taxes?
Oh gosh, now we have to do math.
I didn't
because you
bring a,
said the day
I didn't
last
bring a
time.
prize, but we have 15 days, 15 days. Today's the 31st, so April 15th, don't forget. Federal, state, and city, and city, and city. Don't forget your city. Okay.
Don't forget your thing.
All right, thanks for that reminder. Liam?
So I'll start with what I spoke about earlier with the state issue 2. So on March 19th, myself, Ben, and Jim had the chance to go down to Columbus as a part of the Ohio Municipal League's lobbying day. So as a part of that, they coordinated us to meet with Jane Timken, who's our state senator. And then I figured when in Rome, so I set up a meeting with Representative Olslager, and these were just good opportunities to share with them what we're working on, and speak with them about, what's going on in the State House, things that impact us, and just kind of share ideas for things to work on in the future. It was a great opportunity. We had a lot of fun down there, so I want to thank both the city for sending us. It was free, but still, the opportunity to go down there, and to the Ohio Municipal League for setting that whole day up. And we also had the chance to sit in on a house session, which is always interesting, just kind of see how they do things. And I will say, if you've never watched a house session, the man that they have that reads their legislation, I could never compete with. He just rattles it off, and they both looked at me and they're like, "What are you doing?"
It's like an
You're an amateur, he's a professional.
So then, in other news, I just wanted to extend a thank you to our spring policy intern, Grace Santee. She's a Walsh University senior in legal studies. So she's prepping to go to law school, but even though she's finishing up her senior year, she took the time to spend 12 weeks with us. I was greatly appreciative for all the work she did. She helped out with some of the RFPs, helping write legislation. She was a valued member of the team, and I will miss her greatly. But with that, I will be welcoming 2 summer interns. Both are Ohio State students, and they will be joining me in the middle of May. And they'll run through the summer, so they'll be helping me a lot with the community survey. So I'm looking forward to them, and again, special thanks to Grace.
Thank you. Thank you, Liam. All right, let's do council reports. We'll start with Jane.
There have been so many great reports over on this side of the room. I think I'm gonna bounce it off with saying that I really don't think I have anything to share tonight, other than just my excitement for the update on the, on Maple Street Commerce. So, beyond that, no report.
All right, thank you. David?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
for
sir.
passing my direction and for Ms. Arena for allowing me to mention that we have a promotion. James McKelvey has been promoted to Operations Manager of the Street and Sewer Department. James starts this new leadership role effective today, so it's a happy day for him and for us. He will report directly to Superintendent Matt Morrow. James has been a dedicated member of the city team for a decade now. He began as a part-time employee in 2015, transitioned to full-time in 2016, and gained experience in both sewer and street divisions. In his new role, he will oversee daily staff management and play a key role in streamlining work orders, enhancing interdepartmental communication, leading asset and inventory management, and driving overall efficiency in field operations. Congratulations, James. Well-deserved promotion. The other announcement that I have is a congratulations to Officer Todd Schaefer, as he was selected as Stark County Community Officer of the Year for 2024. Also, the North Canton Police Department Officer of the Year in 2024. Congratulations to Todd. One of the accolades comes from the fact that in March of 24, Officer Schaefer's quick actions helped save a young man's life as he was in respiratory distress at the North Canton Y. You may remember that. His continued dedication to safety and engagement of our community made him the perfect choice for these accolades. We're proud to have Officer Schaefer on our team. This is my report.
All right.
Good news.
Excellent. John?
All right, Gina and Jim, thank you so much for that. Council, I couldn't be prouder of we've had coffee with council and luncheons with council, and we had a small turnout at ours, but it was very informative. We got to meet the owner of Mama Gazzardi's. And he is very, very nice guy, and he's all for us. He took a couple signs and stuff. And then I didn't know when I was gonna be with, down the street where they had coffee. So I sat in and I listened to Christina and Ware and Matt. You guys did an excellent, excellent job. So I wanna thank everybody who's out there. I learned things over there, and the people who were there actually learned things, and I think we got all their votes there. My phone's been ringing off the hook. So I got a call from former Councilman Dominic Fonte. Have you been out walking the neighborhood? And he knows I go out, and I go, yeah. Our sewers are terrible. All the garbage and all the storms, I challenge you to get out into your neighborhoods. They're terrible. And, you know, though it's the residents' responsibility, none of them are doing it. So I would challenge our administration, if we can get a couple trucks out there, or when the street sweeper's back in action, there's 4 wards, maybe 1 time a day or something of that nature. It'll get us votes. It'll show we're working the neighborhoods and doing this, and it's really, really, I think, a needed thing. I see a lot of people shaking their heads, so I try to clean my street up, but there's a lot of streets. There's a lot of streets. I was cleaning one of the gutters out, and the guy goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "Cleaning up your grass clippings that you, you know." But look, well, they are, but look what damage it does.
It does, you're right.
To the internal thing, so I challenge you to get out there, and I challenge the administration if we can get some help out there. Also, a resident had called me up, kept me on the phone for about an hour. She's the noise ordinance, and we sort of tabled that. And I really think a city our size, not so much the decibels and stuff of that nature, I think we don't have a time limit on parties and stuff of that nature. I talked to the police chief, we don't get a lot of calls, but just in case we do, you know, we gotta have something, you know. She wants Matt and me to give her a call, but I really, really, Liam, if we can put together what similar communities our size have and put it together where we don't have to buy anything, maybe just a time. I think the only ordinance we have, or rule we have, is we passed it, maybe last year or the year before, about lawnmowers couldn't be used after, but we should have some type of, you know, for music or TVs or something of that nature. Midnight, I think, would be a good, you know.
But for them, wasn't that, it wasn't a party, it was like 5 of them just talking really loud.
Yeah.
It wasn't even.
I don't even think it was music.
It
Well, she
wasn't.
has some videos,
Yeah.
and they probably have videos, you know.
But that's the hard part.
That's the hard part, but these other communities have stuff. And maybe we should put something up. I don't think it's gonna increase any calls or anything of that nature, but it would maybe make her, you know, she said, "What are you guys gonna do? Did you forget about me?" No. You know, but we should get out there and do
It
something.
was a hard one.
It's a hard one.
Yeah, we've got the research, let's go back and look.
Let's go back and visit it
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff of that nature, because, you know, yeah.
But that's the hard part.
But let's see what these other
They were
people,
up till like 4 in the morning, like that was the other issue.
yeah, and her bedroom is so
Yes.
close and stuff of that
Yes.
nature.
Right.
But, we need to address this situation.
Yeah.
And if we get it, it could be another vote You know, we have to start,
Yeah.
doing stuff like that might get us more votes, so. I've put out, 8 of my 10 signs, I'll probably get some more, Matt. And I've been talking to the people, and it looks like, a more favorable decision. We weren't that far off. I've had people who refused signs in the past, my signs and the other signs. Oh, yeah, go ahead, yeah, I'm for this. And we've got a couple ideas from some of the residents, the ones that came to mind, and then you guys, keeping it short. You know what I mean? And that's what we need to do, is keep it short and sweet, and I think we'll get that, the levy passed.
Remember, John, the one person really focused on no property taxes.
Right,
Removing property
could
taxes.
we get stickers to put that on the signs, That might be something to do, because we've got a lot of signs out there, and,
Point of order, I don't know that we're able to discuss this at a city meeting.
we've talked about it. Oh, well,
I don't think this is the time to advocate for or against the issue, so that's just my interpretation.
All right, I'll drop it.
Okay.
Thank you so much. That's my report.
Can we put out like a Facebook post just asking residents to clean the gutters?
Sure. Yeah,
I think that, I have noticed that as well.
Or even in the next quarterly,
Yeah.
something of that nature.
Good idea.
Catherine, what does happen though? Eventually, the city goes around and,
Yeah, the street department does have a, order in which the, street sweeper does go out. It isn't sent, all over the city randomly, they do follow. It is not operable right now, so it's in the shop. That's why you're seeing that, otherwise it would have been out. They planned it to be out, but it's still waiting some parts at the, place it's receiving some maintenance. Once it is operable, they will get out. If it's, it is the homeowner's responsibility, and I know your request is for our street department to send guys out there. I mean, they're working on replacing the curb down Main Street, there's 11 guys total if they're all there on that day to cover all, the city.
Right.
It's a hard one, I mean.
How long will our street sweeper be out of action?
I can check with the superintendent tomorrow again, I check with him every day, and he continually checks, and they keep saying, as soon as the park comes in. So, it's tough, there's not a lot of places that do this, so they're kind of limited on where they can get service for it, so. I'll find out and let you know.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Stephanie.
and Catherine, I guess I would maybe go to your leadership again too, but, and Gina, but sending people to leadership development places, I think are really important, and Liam and whoever going down, and I know that you and Christina have attended the parks and recreation, and I think that's so important to put ourselves in those places, and to be seen, and to listen, and take that time. Leadership development matters, and it matters especially to that younger generation, and Tim, I'm not putting you necessarily in that younger generation, but
31, whatever you do.
but take it. But it's where we get some of our best ideas, and I think even, Gina, you mentioned when you were giving your report about debts, that you worked with a municipal person and you've been doing this for a lot of years, and to have those experts still be able to give us ideas and suggestions, I just think is so important. So I'm really glad that we're doing that, and Jim, you mentioned something that Christina mentioned at our coffee, and you talked about efficiency, and maybe not, I've never thought of North Canton as that political, and truly when I joined, I have relatives in California that couldn't believe that I didn't know what everybody was, and what I might think one day, they could definitely change the next day, right? It just didn't matter, it never has mattered. The deer don't seem to care, the possums that people want to, none of it matters when you talk about politics, and Christina and I were saying, we're like, that is not even a label that we would put on ourselves, because we're not even on this, not equipped, but it doesn't filter down that way. We're just your neighbors. We're just your neighbors, people in the community trying to do the best that we can on a really part-time basis. And maybe that's it, because I do see other cities and that maybe have a little more of those issues. But we were even in a chat, and we were like, nobody's political. And I said, well, Jamie's hammer, but, but even that really wasn't. And so I appreciate that you noticed that
Yeah.
from the other side of the country. So
Yes.
hopefully we can keep doing those kind of things and go.
Yeah, we usually focus on like just the Ohio training, stuff like that, but that was kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity that I took and Gina recommended it, so.
Right,
So yeah, I really appreciated that.
right, I remember that. Well, and Catherine, you got your MBA and Ben got it and,
PA,
yes.
not
So
business,
that's great,
public.
thank you.
And just to make it clear, did you call Jim old? Is that-
He's
No,
31.
Gets
no,
very
I was just saying he's younger than me.
Fair enough.
I know Gina, Catherine and I are really similar, so.
Christina?
I just thought it was kind of nice to walk in and be wanted by Officer Lewis. That was.
He's back.
Yeah,
Full
that was
time.
good to see him back. And then, like everyone else, I've just been talking to anyone who will listen about issue 4. And that's really all.
Thank you. All right. So I'm getting my days confused here between these two events, but so it's either today or the 29th was National Mom and Pop Day. So I thought that was pretty cool. So support local. And the other one was Ron Swanson Day. They're both awesome and they're equal, right? But I think that was pretty neat. So, now, a lot of good news. I don't want to rehash anything, but thank you for all that. And final call for new business. Okay, so we're done. Going to the meetings calendar on April 7th, we'll have a committee of the whole. April 14th, we'll have council, and on the 21st, we'll have no meeting. On the 28th, we'll have a committee of the whole and council. Do we also have a public hearing mixed in there?
Oh, yes, that'll be the 14th.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so public hearing on the 14th at 6:45 as well. And that's it. I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
Second.